Everybody, Chris here. Is the Dogecoin bear market over? We're going to talk about that in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when new videos come out as well as when new live streams. And we are here right at the fib line extension that we had talked about back on Wednesday. Here we are now on Sunday, and Dogecoin is trading above and below that 922 mark. Still right there. Kind of interesting that there hasn't been a big pullback at all. We look at Bitcoin, and Bitcoin started to pull back here on late Saturday night into early Sunday morning, but yet buyers came back in and brought the price back up. Now Bitcoin is just below its fib extension continuation. However, Dogecoin is showing more support than Bitcoin right now. We did have, again, on early Saturday, we did have this huge move down below 8.4. That move down was all the altcoins. They all came down. They all flushed out late coming leverage long trades. That was billions of dollars wiped out of the futures market, sort of resetting the market, as many say. That reset the market, and here we are now. Could 9 cents sort of be the bottom of the market, and this is the end of the bear? We're not going to be retesting 8 or 7 cents because that flushed out the bottom. So let's take a look at it. There's a lot of discussion more on the Bitcoin side and what Bitcoin's going to do, because that's where most of the analysis is being done. But we'll use that as a guide, and I will bring it all back to Dogecoin. So we begin with this. And kind of interesting that we had these 5 successive drops in the price of Bitcoin. Again, this is the week before last, when the stock market was actually up. The stock market was up, and yet Bitcoin was dropping. A lot of said this was Jane Street. This was coming in and just bringing the market down, flushing out leveraged long trades down on the low side. Kind of interesting that this week we had stocks kind of middling to down, and Bitcoin price took off. So, I mean, this shows it very well. Bitcoin's now sitting up here at 77K, not down here between 66 and 64 where we were, the low of 62. Again, this was the week before last, going into the weekend before starting to move up on Monday. So that is pretty interesting. And we're talking about the possibility of stocks again having another bad week. We will see on Monday. Again, I will be having my live stream. Next live stream will be Monday afternoon. Make sure you're subscribed. You got your notifications on so you can join in on the live stream as we continue our discussion. Dogecoin, Bitcoin, alts. We cover it all here on the Chris Pax channel. But we still have a lot of bears talking about Bitcoin. Do not long Bitcoin right now. And again, we'll talk about entry points here in just a little bit on when's a good time to buy, because I always get that question. However, the relief rally officially ends on Monday, according to Chiefy. This bull trap is playing out exactly as predicted. Still thinks that there is going to be a drop. And Chiefy has pretty much had this on his charts for quite a while here, talking about a move up, take out all the shorts, and then a lower move down. That is, there's a lot of predictors talking about that kind of move. Symbiote says, everyone turned bullish. You don't liquidate about $4 billion of Bitcoin shorts during a bear market rally. But we can see exactly how the same August pump happened back in 2022 before a macro bottom formation. So back in 2022, we had a summer pump, and what happened? Bitcoin eventually turned back around, came back down, and had final capitulation. Could that same thing happen this cycle as well? That would say, bear market is still not over. We have Midas. This was one of the biggest Bitcoin bull traps ever. Bitcoin has already trapped bulls twice this year. The third one is forming now. Both times, Bitcoin swept the highs, flipped sentiment aggressively bullish, and then erased the entire move. If it holds, we should see the next dump soon, and it will be brutal, and I'm saying could, because I don't believe that Bitcoin is going to pull back as much as Midas is saying here. However, each time we liquidated $4 billion in crypto shorts, each time everyone's saying it can't be just a bear market rally. So a lot of bulls out there saying only higher, especially on Dogecoin. We'll look at that. Sentiment shifts, structure breaks. Eventually, it's just a bull trap. Bitcoin loses 70K. I expect the breakout to unwind straight toward the untouched 57 to 58K liquidity with the same aggressive sweep. So, yeah, this is very, very bearish here. Again, will we have a third bull trap? Is that indeed a bull trap that we had, or are we going kind of sideways? Now, I'm looking at the comments, and I'm looking at a lot of the response to my posts, both here on YouTube as well over on X. And I say it's mixed, about 50-50. Again, we're going to talk about that on Monday during a live stream, because I think it is about 50-50. There's 50% of you are true bulls, 50% are bears. Well, there's a small percentage of you just think this is going to bleed out sideways, which there's a chance that we could just be setting a higher low and kind of going sideways for a bit. But this move, aggressive move down into this bottoming zone back in the 50s, would be quite the downfall of Bitcoin, and it would lose all of the strength that we just gained last week. I don't think there's going to be an aggressive move quite like this. Does Bitcoin go back down at least into the lower 60s? I think there's a good possibility we could see that. We do know that the market makers and exchanges want to take out some of those low leverage, or those big leverage trades lower in price. And we looked at the heat maps around 64K. There's a huge cluster of leverage. Millions of dollars are down here. But to go all the way down into the 50s, that isn't in my outlook. Crypto Rover says, when someone asks me what a generational opportunity looks like, I show them this. So this is sort of a flipping through all the top cryptos, and you see pretty much the same thing. From the highs we had, 2024, 2025, the pullback that we had for the bear market, and we have the green candle here. Now, all cryptos just about have this, and the question is, are we buying? Is this the generational opportunity of buying? Again, I'll show you what I think is the time to buy in a generic sense. CME gap filled. We could talk about that. This is an old standing CME gap that has now been filled. So Merlin says we now go lower. We could again flush out that 64,000 long leverage trade. But this was an old CME gap that filled. I didn't used to believe in CME gaps until they actually started filling consistently, and we did just have that. So that's on the Bitcoin side. For Doge, well, Doge is going to test 10 cents again today. So we got a 10-cent view here. Bulls remain in control. Dogecoin's momentum continues to favor the upside. Again, I don't see anything in this chart right now that says we completely favor the upside, but I mean, it's certainly nice that we would have the move up. This chart was made back when we were down in the 6s, and we're down and we're now up in the 9s. But kind of interesting that would be what we see on the sort of Dogecoin versus Bitcoin chart, and how Doge is trading compared to other coins. Dogecoin reached 15 cents in August. Maybe. Polymarket has moved up on this chance, this possibility. You get a lot of bulls saying, oh yeah, Doge is easily going to continue up. trading into or near upper Bollinger Bands, nearby resistance, indicates a stretched move rather than a confirmed breakout. So just a little warning that we are in a stretched move. We haven't confirmed a complete re-breakout after what we saw last week. We also have Trader Allen saying, look, we've had these double bottoms. We've had them before, 2022, 2023. This is a big scale. And I'm still saying next summer is going to be, the summer of 2027 is when we're going to see that again. You're going to have another opportunity to buy. And I've been saying that. A lot of you guys have heard me say 2027, summer, another opportunity. That's going to be the big double bottom. What do we do from here? It could be a sideways from here that we could move before moving down. Probably not this huge move up. This is where the interest is. I think this is where it should be. However, the news organizations are talking about where these arrows go up to, and it's over $3. And it's just like, come on, Alan, you know. But he does these, and it is what it is. So what do we do? So real traders don't chase. So we just had a big move up. This isn't when you're buying. You're not buying up here. Again, I'm just telling you what I do. I don't buy up here. I look for a retrace, a zone of retracement. You wait for the zone. You enter with a strategy. You wait for the move down. The move goes down, and then you have a confirmation of a turnaround. That's the ideal time to buy. You don't try and time the bottom. You're never going to get the bottom. But that is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for now a move down. How far is this move down? We don't know. You could DCA it on the way down, certainly, instead of trying to time it. But that's the kind of move that we would expect, we would see. And I'll be watching for. So meanwhile, Dogecoin is still up here in the 9s. Very strong, positive for Doge. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Bearish or bullish? Again, we'll be talking about this during the live stream on Monday, where the sentiment is. But right now, we can see Dogecoin price is still maintaining this move up into the 9s. Give the video a like if you haven't already. Please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.